The sun had just set, casting an amber glow over the ancient ruins where Isabella stood. She was always drawn to places with history, and this castle, with its crumbling walls and ghostly air, was no exception. As an aspiring archaeologist, she was always searching for pieces of the past, but she never expected to leave it. While exploring a hidden chamber beneath the ruins, Isabella discovered an ornate mirror framed in gold, decorated with carvings of roses and crowns. A soft hum emanated from it, pulling her closer. Curiosity won over caution, and when she touched the surface, the world spun. When the dizziness stopped, Isabella was no longer in the ruined castle. Instead, she found herself in a lavish throne room, vibrant and alive. The room was filled with nobles in elaborate clothing, their gasps audible as they noticed her modern attire. "Who is this intruder?" a stern-looking man demanded. Before Isabella could respond, a younger voice interrupted. "Wait. Let her speak." Turning, Isabella locked eyes with the prince, his golden hair catching the light, and his piercing blue eyes full of curiosity. Prince Adrian, she would later learn, was heir to the throne of a kingdom long lost to history. Despite her confusion, Isabella quickly realized the mirror had transported her to the 16th century. Adrian, intrigued by her strange attire and bold demeanor, convinced his parents, the king and queen, to hear her story. She wove a tale about being an orphan with no family ties, living out the time travel part. To her astonishment, the queen, moved by her story, declared that Isabella would be adopted into the royal family. "A girl with such courage and grace deserves a place among us," she said, pulling Isabella into a world of glittering gowns, royal banquets, and ancient customs. Adrian and Isabella grew close as he showed her the ways of the court. She marveled at his kindness and intelligence, and he was captivated by her modern wisdom and fierce independence. But their happiness was threatened by the looming presence of war. Adrian was expected to marry a noblewoman to solidify alliances, and whispers of Isabella being an impostor began to spread. One moonlit night, as they walked in the palace gardens, Adrian confessed, "I've never met anyone like you, Isabella. The future frightens me, but with you, I feel unstoppable." Tears filled her eyes. "Adrian, I feel the same, but I don't belong here. My time is different. I have to find a way back." Determined to stay together, they began researching the mirror's magic. Adrian enlisted the help of the royal alchemist, while Isabella combed through the castle's archives. As they pieced together the mystery, their bond deepened, and they realized their love transcended time itself. The night they discovered the mirror's secret was bittersweet. The portal could only be opened once more, and Isabella had to make a choice: stay in the past and risk changing history, or return to her time and leave Adrian behind. As the mirror's surface shimmered with golden light, Adrian took her hands. "If you leave, I will find you again, no matter how many lifetimes it takes." With a heavy heart, Isabella stepped into the mirror, whispering, "I love you." She awoke in the ruins, clutching a rose that hadn't been there before. Though she was back in her own time, the prince was never far from her thoughts. She threw herself into her work, uncovering artifacts that told stories of a forgotten kingdom and a mysterious prince. Years later, as she gave a lecture on her findings, a man with golden hair and piercing blue eyes approached her after the presentation. "You found me," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I promised, didn't I?" Adrian said with a smile. Their love story, spanning centuries, was only just beginning. Isabella and Adrian sat in a quiet corner of the university's library, surrounded by the remnants of ancient texts and artifacts. The weight of their reunion pressed down on them both, but it was a weight neither wanted to let go of. "How?" Isabella asked, her voice trembling. "How are you here?" Adrian leaned back, his expression a mix of relief and wonder. "The alchemist you and I worked with in my time wasn't just an alchemist. He was also a seer. Before you left, he promised to find a way for me to follow you. It took centuries, Isabella, but I was reborn in this era. Her heart raced. Reborn? Adrian nodded. I remember everything. It took years for my memories to return, but the moment I saw you again, everything came flooding back. It's as if my soul was always searching for yours. Tears welled up in Isabella's eyes. I never thought I'd see you again. I tried to forget, to move on, but you were always in my heart. They spent hours talking, catching up on lifetimes they had missed. Adrian, now an archaeologist like her, had been drawn to history and stories of the past, unknowingly guided by the echoes of his former life. As their connection deepened, Isabella couldn't shake a lingering thought. If you're here, Adrian, does that mean the mirror's magic isn't done with us? He frowned, his blue eyes clouded. Perhaps. But I don't care about the mirror or its magic. All I care about is us, Isabella. We've been given a second chance. Their happiness, however, was not without complications. Isabella's research had uncovered more about the kingdom Adrian once ruled. She discovered references to a prophecy, a prince who would one day return to restore balance to the world. Soon, strange occurrences began to unfold. The artifacts she had excavated started to glow faintly, and people in the academic world whispered of visions and dreams connected to the ancient kingdom. One evening, while examining the ornate mirror she had found years ago, its surface shimmered again. A figure appeared, a woman in royal robes, her face strikingly familiar. Adrian, Isabella whispered, that's your mother, the queen. The queen's voice echoed through the room. Adrian, Isabella, your destinies are intertwined. The kingdom you left behind is in peril. Though centuries have passed, time in our world has frozen. The mirror's magic binds you to your true home. If you do not return, both worlds may collapse. Adrian clenched his fist. We only just found each other again. Must we sacrifice everything all over again? The queen's image softened. The choice is yours, my son. But remember, with great love comes great responsibility. The mirror went dark, leaving them in silence. Isabella turned to Adrian, her heart torn. What do we do? Adrian took her hands. We've defied time itself to find each other. If going back means saving both worlds, then we'll face it together. With a deep breath, they stepped through the mirror once more, ready to reclaim the throne and rewrite the story of their love, a tale destined to echo across centuries. Their return to the past was not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter, a kingdom to save, a love to protect, and a legacy to build. Together, they were unstoppable. As Isabella and Adrian stepped through the shimmering surface of the mirror, they were greeted by a scene of chaos. The once thriving kingdom Adrian had ruled was frozen in an eerie stillness. The sky above was an endless gray, the land barren and devoid of life. Shadows loomed everywhere, moving unnaturally as though they were alive. A figure emerged from the darkness, a tall man cloaked in black with piercing red eyes. His voice was like thunder as he spoke, so, the prince has returned. And he brought a girl who does not belong. Who are you? Adrian demanded, stepping protectively in front of Isabella. The man chuckled. I am Malgrin, the one who claimed this kingdom after you abandoned it. For centuries, I have waited for your return, knowing the magic of the mirror would one day bring you back. This kingdom is mine now, and you shall not take it from me. Isabella's mind raced. Malgrin must have been the reason the kingdom fell into darkness after Adrian's departure. But why had time frozen here? And why did the mirror choose now to bring them back? Adrian, look, Isabella whispered, pointing to the shadows that ride around Malgrin. They are feeding off the land. He's draining the kingdom's life force. Adrian clenched his fist. You won't destroy what's left of my home, Malgrin. We'll stop you. Malgrin smirked. You. a boy out of time and a girl who doesn't belong. This kingdom's magic is far older and stronger than either of you. But Isabella wasn't afraid. She remembered the knowledge she had gathered in her time. The legends of Adrian's kingdom spoke of a balance between light and dark, of magic tied to the royal bloodline. Adrian's family was the key to restoring harmony. Adrian, she said urgently, the throne, the magic of the kingdom responds to the royal family. If you reclaim it, you can break his hold. Malgrin snarled. You think it will be that easy? You'll have to get through me first. A fierce battle ensued. Malgrin summoned shadows to attack, but Adrian fought with the strength of a true leader, wielding a sword that glowed with ancient power. Isabella used her modern ingenuity, creating makeshift distractions with materials she found around the palace ruins. Despite their efforts, Malgrin was relentless, his dark magic overwhelming. As Adrian struggled to hold him back, Isabella's eyes fell on an ancient inscription etched into the throne's base. To restore the light, the bond must unite, she read aloud. Adrian. We have to do this together, she shouted, running toward the throne. With Malgrin closing in, Adrian and Isabella clasped hands and stepped onto the platform before the throne. A golden light erupted from the throne, engulfing them. Their bond, forged across time and strengthened by love, awakened the kingdom's dormant magic. The shadows around Malgrin dissolved as he screamed in fury, his form fading into nothingness. The grey skies parted, revealing a brilliant sun, and the land began to bloom with life once more. The frozen citizens of the kingdom stirred, their faces filled with awe as they saw their prince and the mysterious woman standing before the throne. Adrian turned to Isabella, his eyes shining. You were right. Together, we are unstoppable. The people cheered, their voices ringing out in joy. Adrian was crowned king once more, with Isabella by his side as queen. Though she was from another time, the kingdom embraced Isabella as one of their own, marveling at her knowledge and courage. Together, Adrian and Isabella led the kingdom into a new era, blending the wisdom of the past with the ingenuity of the future. Years later, they would pass the mirror to their children, ensuring that the bond they had forged across time would never be forgotten. Their story became legend, a tale of love so powerful, it transcended the bounds of time and space. Adrian and Isabella's reign marked a golden age for the kingdom. They ruled with fairness and compassion, their bond serving as an inspiration to all. Isabella brought modern ideas to the medieval kingdom, improved agriculture, medicine, and governance, while Adrian's wisdom and leadership united the people. Together, they rebuilt what Malgrin had destroyed, strengthening the kingdom's foundation. But the mirror remained a mystery. It sat in a guarded chamber within the castle, pulsing faintly with a golden glow. Adrian and Isabella often wondered if their journey through time was truly over, or if the mirror still had a role to play. Years passed, and they welcomed their first child, a daughter named Elara. From the moment she was born, the kingdom rejoiced, calling her the child of time. Elara was curious and bright, with her father's piercing blue eyes and her mother's adventurous spirit. One night, as Isabella tucked Elara into bed, the young princess asked, "Mama, is it true? Did you really come from another world?" Isabella smiled softly. "Yes, my love. I came from a place far, far away. But when I met your father, I knew this was where I belonged." Elara's eyes sparkled. "Do you think I could visit your world someday?" Adrian